Hello and welcome to this deep dive into some interesting lifestyle news. Today, we're looking at a selection of different stories. They might seem separate at first glance, but we think they actually show some important trends and, well, what's happening globally. We've sorted through the noise to bring you what really matters, those aha moments you're looking for.
Absolutely. And what's really insightful is seeing how these, apparently individual news items kind of link up. They often point to broader cultural, maybe even economic shifts. So, yeah, the aim is to give a concise but pretty thorough understanding of these developments.
Okay, let's start in Casablanca. Something noteworthy happened there on April 11th, 2025. The first U.S. Polo Association store opened in the Morocco Mall, which is quite a big deal, right? It marks the brand's entry into the Moroccan market.
It is significant, yeah. U.S. Polo Assn has a very distinct identity, that sporty elegance, the whole polo heritage thing. It's casual but refined, authentic. And their target in Morocco seems pretty clear. Young, urban, connected consumers, people looking for international style, but maybe something a bit more accessible than high luxury. And the store design reflects that quite sleek minimalist.
Right, and for this move, they've partnered with a strategic player in Morocco, Chicorner. They handle other big international brands too. Their general manager actually called it a key moment in their roadmap. He said the brand perfectly aligns with what Moroccan consumers are looking for. So why U.S. Polo Assn? What makes it attractive there now? Any specific cultural factors, do you think?
That's a really good point. Several things probably come into play. First, you've got rising purchasing power, particularly among younger city dwellers. So there's more demand for international brands. Then U.S. Polo Assn, even though it's global, has this image of, well, tradition and sporty elegance. That might resonate with a desire for a certain social status, but it's still more accessible price-wise than, say, top-tier luxury. And Casablanca itself, it's dynamic, it's globally connected, it's a perfect gateway, really, for testing the waters and expanding. Plus, everyone's online, right? So brand recognition and communication are easier.
Okay, let's switch over to fashion now. A lot of buzz around Louis Vuitton's launch of the Sneakerina for summer 2025. It's being pitched as this revolutionary hybrid, sneaker comfort, femininity, sporty elegance all rolled into one.
Yeah, what's interesting about the Sneakerina is how it moves away from those really bulky sneakers we've seen so much of lately. The sole is supple, light. It's actually reminiscent of how ballet shoes are constructed, so perfect for summer wear. Comes in various colors too: fuchsia pink, blue, silver black, beige, and of course it features the iconic LV monogram. This mix of styles, streetwear meets dance, it feels like part of a bigger trend in footwear right now. What do you think that says about what people want in shoes these days?
I think it points to a growing need for versatility, maybe, and comfort, definitely, even in luxury. Those traditional style boundaries are blurring. People want pieces that work in different situations, but still, express some individuality, some fashion sense. We saw it with things like Repetto's tennis silk shoe, right?
Yeah.
Taking that ballet flat aesthetic into an everyday shoe. The Sneakerina feels like it's tapping into that same kind of genre-bending idea.
Absolutely. And it raises an interesting question, doesn't it? Are we seeing luxury codes shifting towards being more casual, more practical overall? Or is this just a smart way for luxury brands to reach a wider, maybe younger audience?
That's a whole other discussion, probably. But for now, let's pivot to something quite different and pretty unexpected. The Moroccan singer Doozy was reportedly denied entry to the United States. He was on his way to a press conference at Harvard.
Yeah, according to Doozy himself, in a video he posted, the reason given was a recent trip he took to Iraq. He'd received an award there. He expressed, well, total bewilderment, really. He stressed he has no political affiliations, that the trip was purely about his music. It certainly raises questions about international travel for artists, doesn't it? What could the implications be beyond just his personal situation?
Well, I think it highlights just how complex international travel regulations can be, and maybe heightened scrutiny for travelers who've been to certain regions, even if it's for cultural reasons. For an artist well-known in the Arab world, something like this could potentially impact his career and maybe even broader cultural exchanges. What happens next for him?
He apparently needs to attend an interview at the U.S. consulate in Morocco, but the timing means it won't happen before his scheduled conference date. So, yeah, a tricky situation. It just underlines the administrative hurdles artists can face in today's globalized world.
Right. Okay, to get a wider snapshot of lifestyle news, let's touch on a few brief items. First up, Katy Perry. She took an 11-minute space flight with Blue Origin recently. It was billed as, I think, the first all-female space flight since '63, but it stirred up quite a bit of controversy, mainly because of the environmental impact. The estimate was around 429 tons of CO2 per passenger. She said the trip was for inspiration for her daughter, but critics called it, well, extravagant and out of touch with climate concerns. What's your take on that?
It really throws that tension into sharp relief, doesn't it? The push for tech innovation, like space tourism, versus the urgent need for environmental responsibility. It also makes you think about the role of public figures and how their actions are perceived, especially now with climate change being such a huge focus. That gap between talking about environmental awareness and some individual actions is becoming more visible and, frankly, more criticized.
Okay, next brief, bit lighter this time. Michael O'Leary, the Ryanair CEO. He was having dinner in Ireland, and the restaurant staff played a prank on him. They gave him a fake bill with joke charges mimicking Ryanair's fees like extra for legroom, priority boarding, a quiet zone table. But apparently he took it really well, posed for a photo, even left a tip. The restaurant got a ton of free publicity online. What does that little story tell us?
Hey, yeah, I think it shows the power of humor, maybe a bit of self-deprecation, even for, often controversial public figures. O'Leary's good-natured reaction kind of humanized him and, yeah, generated a massive positive buzz for the restaurant. It also highlights how important interaction and spontaneity can be in communication, especially with social media.
All right, a more practical, serious note now about drinking water left in an open bottle at room temperature. Apparently, after about 24 hours, bacteria can really start to multiply, especially if you've drunk directly from the bottle. And there's also the potential issue of microplastics leaching from the plastic itself. So the advice is to favor glass or stainless steel containers and wash reusable ones regularly.
It sounds basic, but it's a good reminder about simple hygiene practices for everyday health. And that whole issue of bacterial contamination and microplastics in our food and environment, it's a growing concern. So this is a relevant little nudge.
Okay, over in England, Moyses Hall Museum highlighted an old book bound in human skin. It's the skin of William Corder, a murderer executed back in 1828. Apparently, this practice, known as anthropodermic bibliophagy, while shocking now, wasn't unheard of in the 19th century. The museum emphasizes its historical value, despite the grim origins. How should we view something like that today?
It definitely confronts us with historical practices that seem barbaric now. It makes us question how we should handle and preserve objects with such disturbing histories. Putting artifacts like that in museums raises ethical questions, doesn't it? About conservation and how we tell these darker stories from our past.
Indeed. And finally, a quick household tip. Using bleach to clean tile grout isn't actually recommended. While it might whiten it temporarily, it apparently damages the grout material over time. It can make it weaker, encourage moisture and mold growth later, and of course, bleach fumes aren't great for your health. Can even produce toxic gas if mixed with other cleaners. Natural alternatives like white vinegar and baking soda are often suggested as safer and more effective.
That's useful. It's a good reminder that the harshest solution isn't always the best one. Often there are gentler, healthier, and more eco-friendly ways to handle everyday tasks like cleaning.
Okay, let's wrap up our tour with something positive on the cultural scene. The Jidar-Rabat Street Art Festival is celebrating its 10th anniversary. It's running from May 8th to 18th, 2025. Rabat essentially transforms into this huge open-air art gallery for 10 days.
Yeah, this festival has really gained significant international recognition. This year, they've got artists from 8 different countries: Poland, France, Mexico, Spain, Japan, Croatia, Belgium, Ecuador, and of course, Moroccan artists too. They'll be painting on 11 different walls across Rabat.
Some of the names mentioned include BEZT from Poland, Ratour from France, Smith from Mexico, and Moroccan artists Massawi and Azar. Also sounds like Hideyuki Katsumata from Tokyo and Yvonne McGill from Madrid are doing something interesting with cubic landscapes in Hassan II Park. Looks like a really promising event for street art fans and a great showcase for Rabat.
So when you pull back and look at all these different pieces of news, what really strikes you is the complexity, the richness of the world around us. Every story, whether it's fashion, international relations, consumer habits, or cultural events like the festival, each one gives us a little window into deeper dynamics. It really pays to look beyond just the headlines, doesn't it? To try and grasp these bigger shifts.
Absolutely. And maybe that's the thought to leave our listeners with today. Considering all these diverse stories we've touched on, from luxury sneakers to denied visas, space flights to street art, what do you see as the most surprising or maybe the most significant shift happening in the world right now? Something to ponder, perhaps, thinking about how these seemingly separate threads might connect. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive today.